Hi. All right. So, Geminis, let's take a quick peek and we're just going to ask the question, what's the blockage? I feel like it's nice to look at a blockage and then look at, okay, how do we get beyond it? Well, the blockage seems to be, how do we talk about something that needs to be healed? We want to take action. We want to move forward, but there's something that isn't healed yet, or there's an Aquarius in the mix that is feeling like a missed opportunity. So either how does somebody get this back, or how do they move on from it? I feel like a big blockage is something isn't healed yet. What's the potential support for moving beyond this or correcting it? Six of Cups. It's to revisit something. It's to actually look at this. If this is a soulmate energy, or if this is nostalgia, there's more to be learned out of this situation. That's why we have the book here. So, lots of times we would say, oh, how do we get beyond a blockage? Well, it's time to just let it go, or, cut the energetic cord. This actually says no. It's that there's more to this story. The reason that we have a blockage is because maybe there were more things to learn about each other or about the situation. Maybe this is a great launching pad for doing some soul work and saying, okay, what did I gain out of this situation? Maybe I can't move on from it, or maybe I'm not in a place where, if this feels like a missed opportunity and the blockage is, I really would like to take action. How do I do this? Well, first, let me open a book and let me sit with this information a little bit. Let me learn about something. Let me write down some things. Maybe this is, I need to jot down. If I were telling the story of myself and this person, how would that story look? Because sometimes when we write down what happened, but let's say we write it not as an autobiographical account, like this is what happened to me, I met this person. What if we were telling the story to someone else? How would we describe ourselves and the character? What if we wrote that down to describe what we just experienced, but we did it in third person? We talked about it as if it wasn't us we went through it. We might see new pieces of information as we have to describe a character and ourselves. It could be a real stunner what things bubble to the surface. Ooh, I like this. This is different. To understand this, we need to write it like it's a book. We need to write about what happened to us, but not in first person. That's a great idea. I dig this. Well, I don't know if it's a great idea, but it's an idea that appeals to my brain. So I'm jazzed about it. And you guys are like, no, thank you, Kate. That's only you're jazzed about that. That's okay too, right? To get beyond the blockage, the thing that, if we still have more to learn here, we may, okay, in this case, yes, someone may be a younger soul, someone may be an older soul, yet still a soulmate connection. So identify it for what it is, also identify the differences. And then, again, this is all about how do we remove blockages or get beyond them. We may also need to uncover where ego existed. Now, here's the interesting part. There are two lions on this. So there's love, warm-hearted energy, but we have two lions. Well, lions don't actually run the same turf, right? Lions have their own territory, and they do not, and it's broad. It's a huge, broad hunting territory, and they do not allow other lions, including like their own sons, to be on that turf with them. Everybody's got to have their own staked out area. Otherwise, they're going to have to fight for dominance. This could be recognizing that, oh, maybe each one of us had our own area of expertise, our own area of life experiences, and each one of us stepped on each other's toes just a little bit in different ways. The fact that we have, I've mentioned father and son, then we have father and son. This could be a situation where maybe we want to heal a rift with a parent. Maybe it's like either the parent wants to heal it with their kid or the kid wants to heal it with their parent. Not all soulmate stuff is about romance. This is looking like understanding how we both flared one another's ego a little bit. So we don't have villains here. We just have characters. We just have people who have their own emotions. We all have our our instincts, we have our, things that bubble to the surface with our ego, with our sense of pride. And it's like sometimes pride can clash, right? Exactly the way you behave is so identical to the way I behave that we're like butting heads. Whereas two people that had pride in slightly different areas of life, they might not clash because they're not really rivals. But there's such a great example of this. Lots of times on my channel, I'll have people that will write me, really what I consider to be like really rude remarks, because they'll tell me how I'm supposed to read a story. You don't need to be reading reversals. You need to just read energy. Well, there isn't a right or a wrong way to do my art because it's unique to me, right? So, but they feel like there's a clash because they must do what I do, or they think that they do, but we all approach things differently. So we aren't actually there. I don't have any rival in my mind. There is no one that is a rival for me or my channel, because I'm not them and they're not me. We're all different, and it's all our own different art. So to me, I would never tell somebody how they should do things. Who am I to tell anybody how to do stuff? I don't care how anybody does anything. I only do what I do. But there's a great example of like the rivalry that can pop up when two people maybe are doing the same thing. And it all depends on like how another person sees that. I mean, do I think it's a rude comment? Yes, but you could say, well, that's my pride in the way, right? Like, why is this person being rude? Why does it matter? If they think that they know it all, that's fine. They can do it their way, right? Do I still think that it's overbearing for someone to come in and tell me that? Yes. So there's an example of my pride that flares, because it's like, yeah, I won't be taking anyone else's controlling advice over how I need to do things, because I didn't ask anyone for permission and I didn't need it. So I'm using myself as an example because I want to show how even in little detail stuff, we all have our pride, even if we think we don't. Here I say, well, I don't care what anybody else does. But then I comment on their comment saying that was rude of them. So obviously that must have been a pride thing for me, right? But the difference is, I guess, like in how we handle it. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to do anything different. And that's cool. You do you, boo. I don't mind. Tells, right? But this is how do we get beyond something? Because in this case, I used a lighthearted thing of my own personal experience to illuminate this. But this is something that isn't so lighthearted in this story, because it feels like a missed opportunity. It feels like something that isn't healed. It feels like some action or reaction that it's a blockage because I want this to happen and it isn't. I feel the blockage and I don't want it to be one. Okay, the answer is let's say there's stuff to learn from. Let's say there's things that we could learn from one another, especially if we write down how we perceive someone's behavior and how we perceive our own. And that might help us conclude where pride got in the way. Let's take me, for example, one more time and say I chose to say, okay, that comment that somebody made to me, what does that mean to me? Well, it's great to reflect on stuff, right? I could say, oh, wow, that person has such a great point. I should do things their way. But in reality, for me, I only do it the way I do it because that's who I am. So there's nothing that I would do to alter, because I don't read energy at all. I tell a story, and I tell a story using a different method. So my method wouldn't apply to their advice because they don't understand me. They don't understand where I come from. But that's okay. They don't need to understand. They don't need to like it. And I don't need to worry whether or not they like it. That's kind of like where we allow each other to be who we are. Hopefully we allow each other to be who we are without imposing our will on another. So that's kind of another great example of, you got your turf and I got mine. But the problem arises when someone won't let somebody have their own unique individuality and give them their space. And I think that that's the thing to recognize is, oh, maybe that's where our problem came from. Maybe if this is a role of like a father and a son, or someone who views themselves as really wise and they were trying to tell another person how they should do things, that's not going to be received well. Even if their wisdom is terrific, if it's being pushed on somebody, in fact, that person who perceives themselves as oh so wise, like I know so much more than you, why don't you just listen to me? They actually are showing that they've missed a really important lesson in their life, which is to really be wise, you set an example and you just do things your way. You don't tell other people that you need to do what I said because I'm super wise. Listen, listen, listen to me. And that might have been the role that was coming across for these characters, right? So when we, in a family or in a romance in particular, that can be really intense if one person is like, here's the lesson you need to learn. I feel like this could be a really valuable lesson for all parties involved, right? And then we have this Princess of Staves for the outcome here. There is actually an opportunity for like a completely new way to look at things, which then allows us to, on one hand, feel better about why we do things the way we do things, how we view, like, I'm going to be loyal to myself and my differences, even if Pop or Mom doesn't approve, it's okay. And I'm not going to get riled because they don't approve. I'm simply going to continue going down a road because I recognized I do believe certain things. I am who I am for a reason, and I am committed to doing the things that I do for a reason. If this is about a romantic partnership, also, there's something here about understanding where our egos might have clashed and recognizing that maybe I don't need someone's approval, or even recognizing maybe we aren't suited to be together. So maybe this blockage is not one that is going to be quote unquote fixed or healed. Maybe it's more about like recognizing that sometimes we are just different, and that's okay. We don't all have to behave the same way. We don't all have to agree, and it's not necessarily a big old tragedy that we don't see things eye to eye, or that there's only certain areas where people can we got 6 of sacred circles though. This could be redefining what the relationship is. These two people can actually communicate now. They can actually do while still holding their own opinions and their own personal integrity, they can actually collaborate. And this could be after a long period of time of silence and being left out in the cold and having and kind of an icy, frigid situation. And yet it turns out that there is mutual respect that is built here and I think that this is a great resolution for all of this, understanding that we will not see eye to eye, and understanding that we both have our own turf. We're not competitors. We have our own turf. Mom, Pop, I'm not going to do things your way, but I understand that you kept thinking I should, but I'm also not challenged by the fact that you want it to be a certain way. I am who I am, and I still like you, and I still want to be around you. I am who I am. You are who you are. So if both people can come to this conclusion, it'll be great, and they can get along together beautifully. The rifts are healed. Everything is wonderful. Sometimes it's not possible because sometimes people just want to continuously insist, no, you have to do things my way. But in this storyline, someone is of the opinion that it's like, it doesn't really matter what anybody else says. I do what I do because I am uniquely different and my path is different than anyone else's. There's this wonderful acceptance that I can get along with people who do not agree with me and I do not agree with them, but we can get along as long as there's mutual respect for our differences. And I think that that's a really beautiful outcome here. That's a really nice way to handle it. Like, I don't tell you how to live, you don't tell me how to live, and we can both really enjoy each other. We can get along. So very nice that the blockage and how to heal something, it's not to find the common ground, it's to accept the fact that we don't share the same ground. That's actually really awesome. All right, I'm going to leave that one there. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing, all that jazz. I hope you guys enjoy just the storytelling. I always try to make it more relatable or give a different example of something, because not everything is about like romance. And this one did not feel like it was about romance, but rather differing opinions, possibly from, parent and child. And even though someone seems to be wiser and older, it doesn't mean that they are always going to have the perfect advice or be able to tell us how we're supposed to live, because we're of a different generation. We have to walk our own path. And somewhere in between wisdom of the elders and the younger generation, we have to have a meeting of the minds where we go, it's okay that we all do things a little differently. And then we could also be more receptive to learning from each other and growing, because no one is trying to force feed anyone. I'm the one who's right. You need to do it my way. No, you need to do it my way. So kind of a nice vibe here. All right, I'm going to leave this one here. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing. Bye.